Things change over time. That's life, of course. It's every aspect of life, and it's also in development cooperation and also in capacity building. Changes have been very drastic, as a matter of fact. We often don't realize it. We're in the middle of the process, involved in sometimes messy details of project implementation, but it shows when we're reflecting on 35 years of our work. Taking you back in time, we go back to the 1970s, 1975. At that time, we were still RVB, located in Delft, offering technical assistance in a project in Malaysia, one of the first projects that MsM was involved in. The Dutch government policy under the then minister Jan Pronk promoted the regionalization of training, and RVB starts setting up its training courses abroad. Project beneficiary in this case was the Malaysian National Institute for Public Administration, and the project concerned the development and delivery of one 3-month course on agro-industrial development. A team from 3 RVB experts plus 1 assistant expert, in total 4 staff, was dispatched for this project on a long-term assignment. Stayed abroad for around 3 years, developed 1 course, have it implemented 3 times over the 3-year period. Intensive training delivery, definitely yes, including a number of field assignments in the Southeast Asian region. This was the somewhat romantic notion of institutional development as it used to be at the start of the process. Now comes 2012, and for reference, the project that we have with Bogor Agricultural University. Across the board, scope for capacity development is different. Different needs, different policy settings in which we operate, different challenges that we face, and different modalities of operation. Higher education drives human capital development, it fuels economic growth and reduces poverty. The universities are the primary tool for human capital development, and as such are central in the process of innovation, sustainable economic development and governance. We also know that enrollment in tertiary education in low and middle income countries is somewhere in the 5 to 20% range. It's very broad, it differs, versus an enrollment in the 45% range or up in high income countries. At the same time, in these countries, the growth factor in higher education is a factor 4 or more when you look over a period of 20 years. However, funding did not match this growth for those universities, putting a tremendous pressure on the educational systems. And this, as such, defines the current need for institutional development, and it provides the broader context in which our capacity development takes place. It's obvious that institutional capacity building nowadays is incomparably more complex as it used to be in the 1970s. Instead of working with a single partner institute, developing one program, training of 4 counterpart staff in the case of the Malaysian project, now we work with partners of 1,000 academic staff or more, student numbers in the range of 30,000 or up. To highlight some of the differences, we are involved in institutional strategy development, leadership development, educational management and governance issues, knowledge development. Emphasis increasingly is on the development of research capacity and on the innovation of the educational process. So altogether, definitely more complex as it used to be, and more fun to do, of course. Other focal areas in what we do are on the linkages with the business community, institutional entrepreneurship, and on business incubation. Cooperation, as we do it now, is not a top-down process anymore as it used to be in the past. It's fully based on partnering modalities, and it's usually also implemented fee-based, securing the institutional sustainability. Finally, there's also the change in the operating mode for projects. Nowadays, projects are managed from distance, implemented from distance, using information technology, ICT, communication technology, working from a virtual management system and a virtual learning environment. In short, it's a lot of work that we do from behind our computer, and in that respect, and some say it's unfortunately, there's no more permanent fielding of any staff in places like Malaysia nowadays. It's a bit of a pity, I guess. Now in 2012, we work extensively with our partner Bogor Agricultural University in the field of agricultural development, and I'd like to invite Dr. Fauzi to take over.
distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the life of a society depends on its food security. This is a quote from President Sukarno in 1952, 60 years ago, when he laid the first brick of what became the main building of the Bogor Agriculture University. Still today, that is true, as clearly reflected in the current Dutch development policy. For Indonesia, it is an obvious choice to invest in the agricultural sector when one wants to stimulate sustainable economic development with over 50% of its population living in rural areas. In the ambition of the Indonesian government to be the new industrialized country by 2020, the agricultural sector should grow from the current 17 to 30% of GDP. This calls for major investment, both from the public and private sector, for research and knowledge to be used effectively for poverty reduction and for sustainable development, and for national and international dialogue and cooperation between policy, science, and practice. This, again, is where higher education comes in, and Indonesia Bogor Agriculture University, or IPB, is at the heart of the process. This is exactly also where the cooperation between IPB and MsM is placed. IPB has evolved into the premier agricultural academic institution in Indonesia with close to 30,000 students, 9 faculties, and more than 100 undergraduate and graduate programs. IPB will next year celebrate its 50th anniversary of the Golden Jubilee, and we hereby invite the Dean of MsM to join the ceremony next year. Early 2009, the cooperation of IPB and MsM took off with a partnering program, Roundtable Indonesia. This project links education and applied research with business development for the Indonesian agriculture sector using value chain analysis, roundtable meeting with government, private sector, academia, and civil society. Various outputs have been realized, including as the most direct result, the graduation of 35 students. These students have been engaged in projects dealing with the economic situation of small and medium enterprises through our joint effort. As for examples, in the poultry sector, an improved contract farming model is developed on basis of equity principle. An innovative community-based shrimp farming system is improved using the cluster approach. A special palm oil replanting strategy is safeguarding the business of the smaller farmers. And a newly set up multi-stakeholder platform aims at strengthening eco and sustainable tourism business. Currently, IPB and MsM have extended their cooperation in areas of joint research, business incubation, training delivery for the business community, and the establishment of an agribusiness association. We realize that research is the key in generating and publishing the new management knowledge that foster sustainable development. The new MsM working paper series on food security, water, and development is a clear example of this, as well as the joint research seminar on entrepreneurship and innovation for food security and rural development later this year in Bogor. This is in line with the mandate given by our state president, Dr. Yudhoyono, to IPB, to be the pioneer in research in the area of food security. And Dr. Yudhoyono is one of the outstanding alumni of IPB. One of the lessons learned is that building a relationship takes time, perseverance, and vision, but eventually pays off. In June this year, the Dutch ambassador in Indonesia, Mr. De Juan, together with the Rector of IPB, Dr. Suhardianto, launched the new Center of Sustainable Business Competitiveness in IPB, in which IPB and MsM will continue to cooperate. This center will be focusing on the relationship between business, public sector, and academia, with its mission to enhance the ability of private and public sector in Indonesia to respond to the global market challenge.
To conclude, IPB and MsM will continue their partnership. That's one, working towards the sustainable agricultural development in Indonesia, pulling together our resources, expertise, and networks. Through this partnership, we meet the requirements of the Indonesian higher education sector as well as the business community. Simultaneously, we address the Dutch government policies in areas as food security, water, and private sector engagement. The partnering with IPB is one of the many capacity building assignments that we are currently implementing, comparable programs ongoing elsewhere, in total a volume of operations of around 15 projects. So far about what we do now. About the future, that's the most pressing issue that we face at this point in time. What the future will bring in terms of capacity building is unclear. It's pretty difficult to predict at this point in time. A number of challenges that we face, first of all, is Dutch government policies, partly on development cooperation, partly on internationalization of higher education. Increasing changes in needs within our client systems is another challenge. Technology advancements that we have to deal with, and that will have a clear impact on our work. Whatever the outcome will be, the dynamics of the process in MsM, our passion for the work, the pride in what we do, the way we do it, our dedication to the implementation and the spirit of partnership that we work in cooperation, that is what will remain, and that is what will carry us through the process. Despite the uncertainties, we look confidently to the future, and I hope our operations, project operations, can continue to be center stage in MsM. Let me conclude by expressing the hope that at the next celebration, probably 15 years from now, MsM will be 75 years at that point in time. Both Dr. Fauzi and me will be able to be here and to present to you, update you on the future of IPB and MsM operations. And maybe by that point in time, we can brief you on the joint IPB-MsM campus in Maastricht dealing with food security issues. That's the future where we go. Thank you.